Chapter 78. The airlock of the numinosity hissed and snapped shut behind Ray. She puffed her cheeks and let out a sigh of relief, pleased to have left the conference centre and the board of directors behind. This craft is just delicious, she thought, lightly stroking the subtle curve of the wall. Ray couldn't believe it was hers, and, of course, it was amphibious. Why wouldn't it be? "Ship?" she called as she started down the corridor. "Can you park us somewhere nearby? Somewhere quiet?" "Oh, yeah, honey. It's about time we had some alone time," purred the AI. I've missed your touch. Keep stroking me, mama. That's it. I'm gonna make love to you in ways you've never... What? Ray froze and took her hand off the wall. No, this is not happening. Don't deny it, you carnal little kitten. We're meant to be together. Damn, you smell good. What the actual fuck are you doing here? Those big, powerful directors, honey. They wanted you to feel at home. Downloaded my sweet ass from that nasty old car and installed me here. They want me to look after you, and boy, am I going to look after you. The previous owners had all kinds of sexy shit. Stuff you've never dreamed of. Stuff I've never dreamed of. Just wait till we get those clothes off you. Seriously. Come on. I cannot fucking believe this. She marched on down the corridor. I will be taking a look at the AI settings on this ship pretty fucking soon, I'll tell you that much. Ray stopped again and looked around. Look, where the fuck am I? I want to see outside. In here, sugar, the ship said, its voice dripping with filth. Just slip yourself in here. A door opened ahead and Ray went in. That's right. It was a bedroom, the furnishings exquisite, the bed enormous. No! Fuck you! I said the window, Ray. The horny ship took on a submissive tone. I thought you'd like the view from here. Blinds opened along the length of the outer wall, revealing a floor-to-ceiling window. They were cruising underwater, and as the blinds retracted, the room filled with a blue shimmer of dancing, diffracted sunlight. Ray studied the ocean floor below. Bleached sand rolled away in every direction, combed into ridges by the currents and passage of water. Okay, fine, she said. This will do. She sat down, cautiously, on the edge of the bed as the numinosity slowed and settled onto the sands. Consider this a warning, you crazy fucker. I am only sitting here to gather my thoughts. Do not interrupt me. I've been a very naughty ship, haven't I, Mum? It wasn't long before a knock on the window roused Ray. The stone effigy of an old woman stood outside, waving to her. She wore a skirt, but was otherwise unclothed, her ample, drooping bosom resting on her pot belly. The statue stood back, looked up and down at the ship, and gave Ray a double thumbs up, then pointed to the rear of the craft and walked off. Ship, Ray said, without making any comments whatsoever. Please open the airlock again. Back down the corridor, Ray welcomed the statue aboard. Dripping wet, the old crone plucked a barnacle from her eye and tossed it away. Ugh, Ray grimaced. That is not a good look for you. The hag loosened some restrictive seaweed from around her neck and scowled. As ever, not my choice. Still, Ray held out her hand. I'm glad you're here. The chiselled wrinkles on the woman's face shifted into a smile as she took Ray's hand. Glancing down, Ray once again saw the cloven thumb resting across the back of her own. Cold and heavy. A powerful, assuring grip. Looks like your little concert worked out all right then. Good idea, that, said the crone with the cloven thumb, looking around at the ship in admiration. Our concert, you mean? Ray chided. Yeah, I reckon it did. Risky, though. Those executive types normally look after their own. They could have skinned me alive. Rubbish, he snorted. Not after a solid adjustment like that. They knew the rot was within, and it was through you they found the strength to fight it. It's almost like you're a competent Pamotech. Fuck you, Ray smiled, and patted the old woman's stony shoulder. Fuck you too. Mr. Thumb gave her a wink. A thought occurred to her, and Ray called out for the ship's attention. Ship, without saying a single word, please show us the way to the medical bay. A drone presented itself, and, with a flirtatious little bob, hovered ahead to lead the way. Ray and the man with the cloven thumb followed it, his bosom swinging purposefully over his belly as they strode along together. They soon reached the med bay. Perdita was in her incubator, just as Ray had last seen her, her head shrouded in medical equipment, her vital statistics still stable. The auto-doctor confirmed that she remained pregnant and that the baby was healthy and developing fine. Ray checked the freezer drawer where Antonio Dromia's body was preserved too. He'd suffered no degradation either. What do you think we should do with him? She asked the crone with the cloven thumb. What? You want me to bestow some kind of profound wisdom here? Said Mr. Thumb, shrugging his shoulders. Shit, I don't know. I say we sack it off and go and get a drink. This place is fucking morbid. What she did to that cluster, Ray said on the way out, I mean, that was a dark road to go down. Yeah, she was really laying down slabs on the good intentions highway. He sucked his teeth in disapproval. Doesn't lead any place I'd want to hang out. You know, I can't help wondering how things would have worked out if she'd had a man with a cloven thumb too. Oh, well, now you're talking. They settled on gin and tonics in the viewing lounge, the luxurious glass bubble on the top of the ship that Pascal had first shown her. Ray kicked back on a sofa and sipped at her long frosted glass. Resting her head on a pillow, she stared into the water above, following the curtains of sunlight as they shifted and streamed down upon them. So, she said after a long silence, the cave, that garden, the tree. If that wasn't the simulation, then what was it? The stone hag had her feet up on the next sofa, her eyes closed. Call it a dream if you like, a rite of passage. And those sacrifices in that pool. Parts of yourself that no longer served you, Ray. It can be a brutal process, but if you're going to develop, then some elements need to die off first. And so, you and I are married now? Mr. Thumb opened an eye and looked at her warily. Figuratively speaking, don't get carried away. You might have successfully incorporated parts of your own psyche, love, but you're still technically single. You're thinking about him, aren't you? Lance? Yeah. Relax. I won't piss on your parade. Quite the opposite. I suppose you've noticed how most relationships are a fucking mess. yeah? Ray nodded and took a sip of gin. Usually boils down to people just not seeing each other clearly, he continued. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, how on earth can we see each other when we're busy crying our eyes out? Now, there might be some tears from time to time, but your eyes are going to clear. You're getting your shit together. Lance is a lucky boy. You know, Ray tapped her glass with her forefinger, the more I think about it, the more I wish other people could talk to themselves like this. The crone raised her drink and gave an exaggerated sigh. Yeah, if only there was something we could do. Some kind of shortcut. Like a code or something. I don't know. The offshore negatives, you mean? Ray considered the notion. Then we'd have to distribute it in metastasis. Encrypt the coding into simulations. I suppose there's no reason entire clusters couldn't walk away with a copy. Yes, he sighed again. But then we'd need to know someone technical. Someone who, say, worked in R&D. Ray continued the thought. Someone who'd build the entire offshore negatives into an update. A standard update rolled out to all the metastasis rigs in companies all over the world. We could hit the whole corporate structure. I don't know. Ray set her glass back down again. Could be a terrible idea. We don't know what would happen. Aren't you worried? Do I look worried? No? Well then. With water cascading and frothing from it in great streams and torrents, the numinosity lifted out of the sea and into the atmosphere. Its engines drained themselves and, with a few hot bursts from its thrusters, expelled the last of the seawater as vapour. Ray and the man with the cloven thumb stood to take in the panorama. The great expanse of the Pacific Ocean spread before them in all directions, patrolled by brilliant white clouds that welcomed them as they climbed and banked around in a smooth arc. Nice ship, said Mr. Thumb. Ray glanced at him, smiled, then settled her gaze back on the horizon. Nice tits, she replied, as they flew off to save the world. The end.